President Trump's approval rating is soaring. And
while Trump was lashing out after no one came to his birthday party and his bombs missed their target and his ceasefire is a joke, he's now telling all of MAGA to spread the word, America still loves me. But that's not what's happening.
President Trump's approval rating is soaring, and last I checked, congressional approval is not. And I think that bears witness.
Madam Chair, I have a unanimous consent.
Without objection.
Thank you so much. This is just from a couple of hours ago. Trump pivots to distractions as polls show collapsing support for his agenda.
Without objection, so ordered.
The next one is Donald Trump's approval rating plunges in multiple polls.
Without objection, so ordered.
The next one, Donald Trump's approval rating. New polls show shakeup over Iran bombing.
Without objection, so ordered.
The next one, Trump's approval rating drops to term low amid Israel-Iran war.
Without objection, so ordered. I hope you're not reading the same thing from your phone, which it looked like. I now recognize.
So for clarification,
I now recognize Mr. Lynch from Massachusetts for 5 minutes.
I just want to clarify. I can give you the sources because
Mr. Lynch is recognized. Ms. Crockett, you're rudely interrupting Mr. Lynch's 5 minutes.
As you just heard, his poll numbers say different. Trump's overall approval rating is lower than Hegseth's blood alcohol content after lunch, and it's getting worse daily. Even Fox had him at 39%. But remember, this is a cult, so the numbers of people in the cult, their poll numbers are going to be higher, but not by much, especially when it comes to Iran. Trump's base, and probably Trump too, can't find the entire Middle East on a map. That was actually according to a YouGov poll. YouGov also found the Republican support for bombing Iran is a new development, with only 23% of Republicans thinking the U.S. military should get involved in a conflict between Israel and Iran. After the attack, that number jumped to 69% of Republicans who love to see things blow up. But after the blown ceasefire, an overnight poll showed the disapproval rating by MAGA jumped up to 58%. But the real worry here is Trump's mental state and his alarming outbursts.
You know what they're doing? They're really hurting great pilots that put their lives in the line. CNN is scum, and so is MSDNC. They're all, and frankly, the networks aren't much better. It's all fake news, but they should not have done that. Those pilots hit their targets. Those targets were obliterated, and the pilots should be given credit. They're not after the pilots, they're after me. They want to try and demean. Maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks, and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think that MSDNC ought to apologize. I think these guys really, these networks and these cable networks are real losers. You really are. You're real losers. Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
And Trump is continually attacking both AOC and Jasmine Crockett.
Stupid AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, is one of the dumbest people in Congress. When we examine her test scores, we'll find that out. She's not qualified for office, but nevertheless, far more qualified than Crockett, who's a seriously low QI individual. AOC should be forced to take the cognitive test I just completed at Walter Reed Medical Center as part of my physical. As the doctor in charge said, President Trump aced it, meaning I got every answer right.
Now, that old jab at Jasmine Crockett's IQ is an old white guy dog whistle, a sad attempt to rustle up racism from the past. Trump loves insulting the intelligence of black people, women in particular.
This room is amazing. The people in this room, high IQ individuals. I'm running against a low IQ individual, her.
And this is just more of the racist blather we've come to know.
Like you'll go person, woman, man, camera, TV. So they say, could you repeat that? So I said, yeah. So it's person, woman, man, camera, TV.
And his acing his cognitive tests? These tests aren't designed to be difficult or to display intelligence. They're designed to test for cognitive decline.
Man, camera, TV.
And Man-Titty's cognitive decline? Not good.
Never fight uphill, me boys, but it was too late.
This is even more evidence that his cognitive skills are nearly gone. Who else constantly says their brain is functioning when it obviously hasn't for a while? And Fred Trump III, the nephew of Tiny Fingers, has raised concern about his uncle's mental health, citing dementia as a prevalent issue in their family. Fred pointed out their grandfather, who was also the father of Trump, battled Alzheimer's for 8 years before passing away in 1999. And when this guy, Pimply Fuckwinkle, tweeted that Trump should get the Nobel Peace Prize, everyone was silent when the truth about the Iran attack became clear. But only MAGA would think that bombing shit would make you eligible for a peace prize.
I have impatience for American Jews.
And Newsweek reported today that the guy who nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize, a member of Ukraine's Parliamentary Foreign Committee, he said he's lost any sort of faith that Trump would make good on his vow to end the war between Ukraine and Russia. He withdrew the nomination. Trump had promised during the 2024 presidential campaign he would end Ukraine's war within 24 hours.
Said very boldly, you could end this Ukrainian-Russia war in 24 hours.
Yeah. Trump has since said he was being sarcastic when he made the remarks. But look, Jasmine Crockett has this guy's attention, and it's pretty remarkable that this young two-term Democrat is so deep inside Trump's head.
I look at the Democrats, they're in total disarray. They have a new person named Crockett. I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. And they said, she's the future of the party. I said, you have to be kidding.
The fact that you just got done engaging in a conversation where we have a president of the United States who has no idea about the oath that he just took on January 20th tells me everything that I need to know. He didn't even have good sense enough in that same interview to say something as simple as, yes, I will follow the Constitution. You know, the thing that actually derived from the oath that he was supposed to take. And he supposedly took an oath, which there's a lot of people that point out that he never put his hand on the Bible, even though he acts as if he could somehow be the Pope. But nevertheless, that oath specifically says that you will defend the Constitution. So the idea that you are now taking the Constitution and, as I said at the DNC, putting it through a paper shredder is a problem. And I think that this should not be partisan. This should be right versus wrong. A lot of the things that this administration is doing, they don't have anything to do with partisanship. This is right versus wrong. And right now, they are consistently wrong.
You know what is remarkable? Trump's litany of failures in his first 6 months, starting with the Trump promise that he would bring prices down starting on day one and lower inflation. 100 days later, prices are rising as economists predict a spike in inflation due to Trump's trade war. With his universal trade war, Trump has single-handedly caused a global economic catastrophe on par with the economic disaster caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. In February, Trump imposed tariffs on all goods coming from Canada and Mexico, immediately tanking the economy. Since Inauguration Day, Trump has overseen the 11 largest single-day declines in the stock market in history. And Trump has erased nearly $10 trillion in stock market value since Inauguration Day. He nominated RFK Jr., a former heroin addict, an anti-vaxxer, and someone who said a worm had eaten his brain. And his policies led to a measles epidemic, and he cut the NIH and CDC funds into planning for the next pandemic. And of course, ICE raids sending U.S. citizens to foreign prisons, and of course, the latest fiasco with Iran. So that's why Trump's numbers are falling like his flabby breasts when he peels off his man girdle.
Trump pivots to distractions as polls show collapsing support for his agenda.
At the end of the day, Jasmine Crockett is in his head, which is a good thing because it might be the only sane voice that he can hear.
Goddamn right.
You have no shame?
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
Tick-tock.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.